Andy Johnson. This short video is on what teachers should know about the science of reading, scientifically based reading research, and educational research in general. Big topic. Hope to just kind of cover a little bit of it today to give you a basic understanding. But first, there are two great ununderstandings in the world of education. The first one is the science of reading and scientifically based reading research. That understanding leads to ineffective reading instruction and interventions. And the second one is the understanding related to how the brain creates meaning with print or reading. We are going to address understanding number one, the science of reading. We'll save the second one for another day. So let's take a look at it. Think about this. What is the scientific method? How is science used to help us understand reading and reading instruction? What is a theory and why are they important? And what has been proven regarding the importance of word reading accuracy? Now, the traditional view of science is that you get two groups, you randomly assign people to both groups, you do a measure before the study begins, you do something to one group and nothing to the other group. The groups are the same except for that one thing you do to one group, and then you measure them afterwards. Now, if there is a difference in the two groups, and the difference is statistically significant, that means greater than could happen by chance, then we could say that the one thing, that was the cause of the difference. That is the basic quantitative research or controlled experimental research or controlled experimental studies. The thing you did to the one thing was the cause of the difference. It's the endless search for causality. This cause and effect view of reality that we are trying to find out based on this traditional view of science. In reading, we do this, we do a measure, we have a treatment, and we're looking for the cause of higher test scores. So we isolate all the variables except for that one, and we look to see if the test scores were raised. That is the traditional controlled experimental research, and there's a lot of problems with that. And by the way, to be a true scientific research, subjects have to be randomly assigned to the two groups. But in most educational experiments, you can't randomly assign. They're already assigned to classrooms, so we call it a quasi-experimental research. Now, the single subject design, similar. You do a measure before the treatment begins. You administer a treatment, which is a particular approach or a measure, and then you do an approach or a treatment or a method, not a measure. And then you do a method, a measure afterwards. If the difference between the pre and the post is difference, and the difference is statistically significant, greater than could happen by chance, then you could say that the one thing was the cause of the difference. It's this endless search for causality again, the magic elixir. What is it that caused test scores to go up? That is the search. However, one thing I would like you to realize is there's no such thing as the scientific method. Rather, there are methods of science. When controlled experimental research is used as the only method for studying reading reality, you get this view of reading reality through a peephole. The view of reading and reading instruction, when viewed only through controlled experimental research, is greatly impeded. Yet this is what the U.S. Department of Education and others have decreed. They have mandated, they have told us that the only knowledge that counts in reading instruction is that which is derived through controlled experimental research. That's the only thing that counts. In other words, they are saying the same research methods used to study bacteria in a petri dish, not can, but must be used for studying children in the classroom. And they call this scientifically based reading research. And this insular view demonstrates a little limited understanding of educational research. Now, how we call it scientific, but just saying it's scientific doesn't mean it's so. Controlled experimental research is a valuable tool. However, used as the exclusive tool creates this peephole view of reading reality and leads to the great ununderstanding of reading and research. And this peephole-based view misses a whole bunch of data around the sides. It doesn't account for a lot of data. How could anything be said to be truly scientific if it ignores and discounts a whole bunch of data? If it says, nope, we're only looking at this stuff. And that's what the U.S. Department has decreed, has mandated. So let's take a look at a bit of research conducted by Stephen Kusser. This helps us understand educational research that doesn't fit into this very narrow peephole, but yet tells us a lot about reading instruction, and the reading process, and why we have to go beyond that narrow definition of educational research. This bit of research, 2016, would be dismissed, of course, by those who cling so tightly, but it examines the limitations of word reading accuracy. In this study, Kusser focused on expository text and reading comprehension. Now, starting in 4th grade, students encounter more expository text, that's information text, than narrative text or stories. They move from learning to read to reading to learn. And the text they encounter is different. Expository is different from narrative text. They can't be read the same way. Expository text has greater lexical density, for one thing. That means, that's a fancy way of saying more content, words, clause, and concepts jammed into a sentence. You can't read them the same. So let's take a look at the methodology of his study. He used 4th graders from 2 different schools. He examined students' miscues and how they related to comprehension. Now, a miscue is when what a child says during oral reading does not match what's on the page. We don't call them an error because sometimes miscues represent mature reading behavior. There are 2 types of miscues. There's a meaning disrupting miscue. Instead of run to the top of the hill, the readers say rat to the top of the hill. All right. Meaning is disrupted. This does not make sense. That is a meaning disrupting miscue. Meaning maintaining miscues means that it maintains the author's intended meaning. It stays intact. Instead of run to the top of the hill, the reader says runs to the top of the hill or rush to the top of the hill. This maintains the author's intended meaning. It's a meaning maintaining miscue. This tells us a lot. So the results of this study, the students read the text aloud. Their readings were recorded, and they used a retelling chart to assess the comprehension. Here's what they found. The clauses with meaning maintaining miscues versus the clauses with 100% accuracy. Students read a clause, wasn't exactly as printed, but the meaning stayed intact, or they read the clause with 100% accuracy, exactly it's on the page. They found that the meaning-maintaining miscue clauses were significantly more likely to be comprehended and recalled than those sentences and clauses read with 100% accuracy. What ho! What ho! Why is that? For comprehension and recall, maintaining meaning was significantly more important than word reading accuracy. Why is that? Well, discussion. Meaning maintaining miscues means that the reader is looking for an alternative way of expressing this idea. The reader is attending not to the surface structure, and that surface structure is the arrangement of words and letters, but to deep structure, which is the absolute meaning, the meaning of the sentence. So the reader is creating meaning with print, not just barking out words and responding to words and letters. So that's why they were better able to comprehend and recall. This also shows a meaningful miscue that the reader is relying on semantic information, that is context, knowledge, and syntactic information, that is grammar and word order. Mature readers don't just use letter clues, don't just use the phonological cueing system. Mature readers use semantic information and syntactic information to create meaning with text while they're reading. So, three things. An over-reliance on phonics and letter-sound relationships can get in the way of comprehending, and that's the whole purpose of reading. As well, instructional strategies that focus on maintaining the author's meaning are more important than strategies focusing on word accuracy and speed. Hence the name, meaning-based reading instruction, focusing on creating meaning. And the brain uses three cueing systems to recognize words while reading. The semantic, which is context, the syntactic, grammar, word order, and the graphophonic or the phonological, which are letter clues. Of the three, the semantic is the most efficient because it uses the least amount of short-term memory, working memory. Graphophonics is the least efficient, semantics is the most efficient. And we'll get to that another day. So, what is a theory? Studies like the Kusser study are essential in helping us understand reading and the reading process, how the brain creates meaning with print. This understanding enables us to design effective reading instruction and intervention. Now, did the study prove something? Well, research, especially research in education, does not prove things. It supports or doesn't support a hypothesis. Each research provides a data dot, a bit of data dots, and here's a data dot each research provides. Each research then is used to create a theory. A theory in the context of science is not an untested or unproven assumption. A theory is a way to explain a set of facts and understand phenomena. Put another way, a theory is a dot-to-dot picture connecting a whole bunch of data dots. Different theories connect different data dots differently. Hence, you can have a behavioral learning theory that connects some data dots, and cognitive learning theory, which connects another set of data dots. You can have the simple view of learning, the phonological view of learning that connects a few data dots, and the neurocognitive view of reading that connects a whole bunch of data dots. Now, one of the problems with the simple view of reading, the idea that reading is merely sounding out words, the phonological model, it does connect some data dots, but there's a whole bunch of data that are unaccounted for, that are unexplained. The neurocognitive model is more efficient in explaining and understanding the phenomena known as reading, and it accounts for a lot more of the data dots. It helps us understand the study like Kusser's study. If reading were simply sounding out words, the data that Kusser found doesn't fit into that model. It's data that is unaccounted for. So this is why theories, research-based theories, are important. Each research study creates a bit of data. Theories connect the data dots, like a dot-to-dot picture, and theories explain a set of facts, explains reading, and helps us understand phenomena.